I want to make this vlog about Donald Trump, who's just visiting the UK, and he's a compelling, fascinating, maybe repugnant, maybe attractive figure who is having a huge effect on the collective psyche of the world. And I'd like to explore what all that's about for us. But before I do that, I'd like to take a detour into evolutionary philosophy, this philosophy of emergent spirituality that I've been articulating. So one of the tenets of this philosophy is that things evolve through individuating and unividuating, and this has been going on for 13.8 billion years. The time stream, the evolving forms become more individual, and then they conjoin to make something greater than themselves. They unividuate. So individuating into hydrogen and oxygen, and then combining the two, they become something greater than the parts, which is H2O, water, for instance. And that's been happening throughout the whole of the process of evolution. My body itself is a unividuated communion of cells, individual cells, which have become something greater than their individual parts. And I've been speculating that what's happening for us on the soul level, on the level of psyche, is that we need to individuate ourselves, become autonomous from the unconscious collective, become more ourselves, think for ourselves, become independent, distinct individuals, and in doing that we become more conscious. And as we become more conscious, it's possible for us to experience this deep awake state, this awakening. And as we do that, we unividuate into something greater than ourselves, into this conscious oneness, this being of love. So we individuate, becoming more individual, and then through the individuality, we unividuate into something greater, which is oneness, and we experience as this incredible, all-embracing love. So, Donald. What interests me about Donald, what's so fascinating, is he is so individual. This man has, in a sense, individuated. He is not one of the herd, that's for sure. And he has immense power because of that. Whatever you think of him, this is somebody who has made himself President of the United States of America. It's a remarkable achievement. But what I see with him is individuation without unividuation. For most people, I think they go together, but not always. So I see a man who is obsessed with himself. I don't think I've ever seen anyone this narcissistic on the world stage in my lifetime. Everything is about Donald. He's so great, he can do this, his achievements, his wealth. Even when he's dealing with people from other countries, it's not to do with policy. That's not what he's interested in. He's interested in whether people like him and he likes them. It's personal. So he seems to be centered narcissistically in his own ego, in his own self. So it's about him, and it's about his family, and it's about his race, and it's about his country. And that's in opposition to the other, as it comes out from his identity. What it doesn't have is that sense of awakening to something more than himself. Now, I think that's happening more and more across the world. I think a lot of people now have a sense of connection with something greater than themselves, which is why there is a growing sense of we are one human family, for instance. So we care about human beings, whoever they are. They're not, we know them, whether they're of a different race, it doesn't matter. We still care. There's a sense of connection with nature, that we're not this separate thing which can predate, use the predator in nature. It's there for our use, but actually we're intrinsically part of it, and that we need to honour that, because otherwise there's going to be environmental disaster. Donald Trump doesn't have that. He's a climate change denier because he wants the environment to be something which is useful to him and those that he sees as an extension of himself. So what I think we've thrown up is the problem we now face. The latest phase of evolution, culturally, has seen the level of individuality just explode, and nowhere exemplifies that more than America. And it's been incredible. You know, there was a time when everyone wore the same clothes. If you were this class, you wore this clothes. If you were this class, you wore this clothes. And now we're just breaking out from that. There's a plethora of identities that you can have. There is a desire to honor and inculcate individuality in our children, which was never there before. And this is all good. This is not a bad thing. This enables us to become more ourselves and more conscious, to develop ourselves as a unique soul. But it needs to come with an awakening to something greater, because otherwise it leads to the negative side of individuality, just one pole of that paralogical pair. And what we see then is the individual as predator. What we see, the individual, the egotist, in that negative sense. It's about me. And what we've thrown up in our collective journey right now is the leader of the most powerful country in the world, who is a narcissistic, egotistical predator. Because he hasn't got it, it's because his individuality, which is making him more and more and more powerful, is not accompanied by this sense of this experience of waking up to something greater than the individual, which is marked by oneness and love. So, what I think we're dealing with here is, look, what we are face to face with, the dilemma of Western culture. We want the individuality, but we want to reach through it to something greater that transcends and includes individuality. So that it's not just individual power. It's not just thinking about ourselves. It's thinking about something greater than ourselves. And what Trump shows us is what happens when we don't do that, which is we become somebody who is dangerous, divisive, who creates discord. We're somebody who has no sense of truth beyond their own opinion. So for Trump, what is true is what he wants to be true. That's just true. And if that doesn't fit the facts, he'll have alternative facts. He'll make them up. And what I see, even in spirituality, is that this is common. We step into a world where we're just endorsing the individual, and we produce a narcissistic form of spirituality. So whether it's in politics and spirituality, indeed in the whole of human culture, it feels like, look, what we are facing is, this is the dilemma now. We have individuated, hurrah, but now through that we need to unividuate. We need to wake up to something deeper. And that's what this deep awake work is all about. Finding that within us all, there is this deep experience of oneness which can arise. And when that happens, this immense compassion. And of course, that is the very thing that when you look at someone like Donald Trump, or him specifically, is missing. So it's showing us who we are. It's showing us what we've done and achieved, but it's showing us what is missing and what we need to now bring into the world if we are going to take this journey to the next step. If we're going to carry on this epic process of evolution and allow more emergent culture to arise.